Good morning friends, back again with more videos for business studies. We covered Consumer Protection Act, we covered business environment. Now we are into functions of management. When I say functions of management, I mean by part scope. This I studied in my MBA, but when it comes to 12th, there are 5 functions of management. First is planning, second is organizing, third is staffing, fourth is directing, and fifth, which is related to planning, it is controlling. So today we will study 2 chapters simultaneously, and those chapters are planning and controlling. We will cover them one by one, but at the same time we will discuss them both. So these are the 2 chapters for you, planning and controlling. Meaning of planning. When I say what is planning? When I say planning, I say I am thinking for future. So when I say planning, I mean by that thinking in advance for the future exactly. Thinking in advance what to do, how to do, and who will do it. When you have decided in advance that who is the person who will do it, what you have to do, and how you will do it, then what happens is it bridges the gap from where you are standing and where you want to go. For example, I was attending my sister's wedding. Flight has started from Bareilly. So I went to Delhi by flight. And as a result, what happened? The flight took off from Bareilly and took around 20-25 minutes to reach Delhi. So I planned that I want to save time. So what happens? It bridges the gap from where we are standing and where you want to go. What does planning do? It bridges the gap from where you are standing and where you want to go. Features of planning are same as features of management. They are related to that. And what are those? First, pervasive. Planning is practiced everywhere. Let it be hospitals, let it be institutions, management institutions, educational institutions, let it be police, let it be schools. Everywhere planning is being done. Because without proper planning, even you students, if you don't plan how to study in your board exams, can you fetch good marks? I don't. Because proper planning leads to good results, and that too in a planned way. Planning is continuous. It never stops. When you were born, your parents planned for your basic needs. When you grew up, they again planned. And till we have the last breath, planning goes on. Similarly in management, by framing one policy, you can't stop with planning. Next assignment you have, you will plan again. Next, you will plan again. So it's a ongoing process. It never stops. It's continuous. Third is, planning is a mental exercise. A sarcastic comment, planning is for those who are insane or mental. No. It requires brains. You need to give a thought. And it is not the past ages apple will come to your head and you will have an idea. So planning is a mental exercise because it takes brains to have ideas, because on your one decision turnover of crores is in your hands. So proper planning requires mental exercise. So that is what is mental exercise. It requires brains to frame policies and to take a decision. Planning is forward looking. As we discussed, if I say I am planning something, it would be wide to speak that I am planning for past. Planning is always for future. So planning is never backward looking. It can be. I mean, we will correlate that to controlling. But here when I say planning is forward looking, I mean to say I am thinking of future. That is why planning is futuristic or forward looking. Planning involves decision making. If I have 5 or 6 girls to be married, so I would decide one of them whom I shall marry. So what is this? It involves different decisions and I have to choose the best one out. So planning involves decision making, choosing the best one out of available resources. And here resources means alternatives. Limitations of planning. There is no one born with perfection. Everybody has shortcomings or limitations. Similar, so do has planning. First is planning leads to rigidity. What happens? Sometimes management is not flexible. it is very adamant that what policy we have framed, we won't change that. And as a result, if environment is changing, we are not matching up to the changing environment. As a result, because of the rigid nature of plans, we tend to fail. Our organization tend to fail because we are not flexible. Second, it reduces creativity. The employees are blind followers of superiors, the top level management, who are policy makers. As a result, they trust blindly whatever they say, and as a result, they lose their own creativity. Because we shouldn't be blind followers. Management should encourage good ideas, suggestions, and if they work out well, they should be rewarded. That is a technique for you which is named as MBO, Management by Objectives, consulting employees at the time of decision making. Planning may not work in a dynamic environment. You planned something, dynamic environment. In environment, I told you pesto. Let's take an example, political environment. You framed one business, let's say, of kurta and pajama, and new political party came. It said that now you'll be all in formals, that suit, pant, tie, etc. So your business failed because business environment, political environment changed, and it was not favorable to you. That is why it is said planning may not work in a changing environment, because these are external factors. These are beyond your control. You can't control them. So planning will not work there. Planning will only work when what you think and what the external environment is, if they both match. Skill, talent, luck, when they all match together, that is when it's grand success. Similarly, planning is successful only when external factors favor you. Planning involves huge cost, it is time consuming. Ideas don't come in a fraction of a second, they take time. And those who plan are persons with good past experiences of companies who can project sales and tell you the best ways how to reap out profits. So planning involves huge cost means they have to pay to those persons hefty amount of money for planning, and it takes time to plan, because if they are paying a particular employee 5 lakh rupees, so on them a decision of 5 crore is based. That is what is time consuming, because it takes time to take such a big call, because you can't take decision in a haste. It will ruin the company's profit quarterly or annually. Planning process. Let's make it something creative. You might have heard of Swayamvar, in which you get options of 6 to 8 girls or boys, and then you have to choose out of them one. So we will first correlate with a little bit worldly example, and then we will correlate to the exact business terms. My objective was not to marry a girl but to conduct a Swayamvar. In that, I had some conditions, some assumptions, that is development premises. My assumptions were, first, I would marry a girl, not a boy. So, if I would marry a girl, she would be pretty and she should be good in English speaking. So, these were my two conditions. I would marry a girl, she would be good in English and public speaking. So, these are my assumptions. Then I would list out different ways. So when I say I would list out alternatives, I mean by that I would have several options. Like for example, I had 8 options. Out of those 8 options, when I listed all of them, when we do friendship with anybody, what we say? What qualities matches our qualities, we make that person a friend. Similarly, I will evaluate the pros and cons of each and every alternative. By evaluating, I mean by that, what are their good qualities, what are their bad qualities. Accordingly, I would select the best alternative for me. Selecting does not end the story. That alternative, that girl will say, it's useless selecting me unless you marry me. So what I will do? I will marry her. That is what is implementing the plan. That is what is implementing the plan. Last one, I have not written intentionally, that is follow-up. And if I say follow-up, what do I mean by that? It is that if everything is going well, then why to worry? But if you can't change the plan, then change the plan. If it doesn't work, I have 7 more options. I will go for the second one. So now correlating into business terms, setting an objective. Every business has an objective of maximizing sales and maximizing profits and reducing cost. So I have some premises, developing assumptions. What are those? That external environment will work for my favor. These external factors, political, social, technological, legal, they all will work for my favor. I will list various alternatives which can help me achieve my ends, that is profits. Then I will evaluate pros and cons, good side, bad side of each and every plan. And after evaluating each and every alternative, what I will do? I will select the best alternative for me. For example, my business is on normal scale and I want to deal it only on cash basis. So I will write only cash accepted, no credit. So if anybody comes and asks for credit, will I give? I ask you, obviously no, because I am dealing in cash basis. So this is what is policy. If I adopt this policy and if that works, how it will work? After selecting, first I will implement that plan into my business. And when implementing that plan into business, if it is a success, I will continue with that. Else, what I will do? Follow. If you can't change the plan, go for the better one. Or a combination of some. So what is that? Follow. Follow means if things are in your favor, follow that. If not, then change the plan. So now coming to types of plans. First is objectives. When I say objective, I mean by that goals. Short term and long term. Objectives are mission short term goals. Why organization is working for to achieving results, and that is what objectives are. Second is strategy. Virat Kohli is trying out players to have a best team for the World Cup. So what is strategy for me? A comprehensive long-term plan which helps me for a long-term vision. How I see myself after 10 years. What market share will I capture in the market? Third is policy. As I explained, I want to deal only in cash basis. So, aaj nagad kal udhar. No credit. That is what policy is for me. A general guideline which helps me in framing policies. Fourth, procedure. In your schools you might have annual functions. So there is a proper procedure. First, there is a Saraswati Vandana or a Saraswati Puja of our Devi, and then you might have a speech of principal. Then you have a spiritual dance. Then you have a group bhangla. Then you might have a choir song, and then chief guest speech. What is all that? There is a step-by-step procedure for that. That is what is procedure. Rules, do's and don'ts. Nobody would intake cigarette. What is that? It is same for all. Irrespective of what level you are, top level, middle level, lower level, you have to follow that. Do's and don'ts. What you can do, what you can't do. So that is what is rule for you. Takes this program. When you sum total all the plans apart from program, what is that? Is program. Method. Best way to do a particular thing is method for you. In depreciation, we had two things, straight line method and diminishing balance method, WDV method. So if you are following a particular method, you should stick to that. And what is that? Best way of doing a particular thing is method. Last but not the least is budget. Estimated statement of what are the sources, what are the avenues through which money will come in, and what are the probable ways through which money goes out, that is expense or expenditure on fixed assets or day-to-day routine expenses. So what is budget? And if you want to learn all of these 8, I have a small trick. Repeat after me: R, and then triple P, and then bombs. You had a friend named R. You had a fight and you said 3 times, please, please, please. Think anybody, R, boy or girl. And then 3 times say, please, please, please. And then that person was about to speak on a mic. It was holy time. It's approaching holy. And what you did, you had a button in your hand. You pressed that button and the whole gulal was on your face or on his face. So what is that trick? R, triple P, bombs. 8 words, R, P, 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 B, O, M, S. Now I will form that. R for rules, P for policy, P for procedure, P for program, B for budget, O for objective, M for method, S for strategy. So what is all that? R triple P bombs. So till then you can have a glance of in planning, and I will be back just in 10-20 seconds, and then we will start with controlling. प्लानिंग पे जरा जूम कर लो, जरा प्लानिंग है। Now moving on to controlling, there was a movie Welcome in which Majnu Bhai said 3 times control, control, control. So he said just control, but in controlling it is not that control. You have to control your feelings or emotions. This control is controlling excess cost. So when you control cost, it is all about controlling. You had a target that you will produce 1000 shoes in a year, but you were able to produce only 800. So through this example, you will be completing the chapter or correlating that. So what I said, there was a target given to me to produce 1000 shoes, but I produced only 800. And what was that? There was a deviation of 200. So what I would do now? I would take corrective measures so that I control cost and I achieve my target, that is producing 1000 units. So what is controlling? What I said, that's an English test. Controlling means comparison between actual output and planned output and finding out reason for deviation, why there was a lack of 200 units, and now taking corrective measures so that what you planned and what was the actual performance, they both match. When I say nature of controlling, it is similar to planning. So no need to revise it again, we can have just fast plans. Controlling is goal oriented, it focuses on goal. You have to achieve a target. If you are a manufacturing company, you will be given a target to manufacturing things. If you are a selling company, you will be given a task to sell products. Second, it is a continuous process, it's ongoing. You will be given a target, either you will achieve or you will not. But what will you do? You will always control unnecessary cost. You get as many marks you want in boards, but your parents will always say, "Beta kam aa gaye, thodi aur mehnat kar lete aur acha jata." Because there is always a scope or a room for improvement. Similarly, there is always a room where you can cut down cost and be efficient. What is efficient? Cost reduction. It is all pervasive, it is practiced everywhere, schools, colleges, hospitals. And last, if I want that in future my cost should be cut short and I should be benefited by that, then I am going to the past, checking out then what I planned, I didn't achieve that, because what I'm going to the past. What does manager does? He goes to the past, checks out that what was the exact scenario, that whether I was able to achieve the target or not, and then what he will do in the future, he will take corrective measures so that planned performance matches with the actual performance. What are those? These three are interrelated and interlinked. That is what first 2 points say. Nature and concept, meaning, as I discussed, planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do, who will do it. It bridges the gap from where we are standing, where you want to go. And what is controlling? It's there for you. Comparing actual output with planned output and taking corrective measures so that they both match. And when I say they both are forward looking and backward looking, in planning we covered it's forward looking. controlling we covered, it is backward looking. But how controlling can be forward looking and how planning can be backward looking. What planners do is that on the basis of their past experiences, if they framed a policy and it was a success, so they go to the past, and if that worked out well, so what would they do? They would implement the same again, and as a result, first they're going to the past, checking out what was the strategy they adopted, what was the policy they adopted, and they would implement the same. And similarly, when I say planning is controlling is forward looking, I mean to say, when you checked out the reason for deviation, now what will you do? You will take corrective measures for what? For the future, so that you don't repeat the same mistake, and as a result, you will be cost efficient. Now, a small controlling process, what is that? First, setting up standard. What is a standard? Standard means having a frame that by how much percent you want to reduce cost. So setting a standard means setting up standards quantitative terms. And when I say quantitative terms, I mean by that numerical values. Then what I would do is that I would measure performance. Example saying 1000 units actually achieved what? 800 units. So I would measure the quantity of production in terms of numbers. That is, my performance was 800 units I produced. Third is, I will compare plant performance, that is 1000 units to 800 units. Then fourth, I will analyze deviations. I will analyze deviations means I will find out the reasons why they didn't match. 2 points I have not written here, but I will elaborate that by speaking. And what are those? First is management by exception, and second is critical point control. What are these two? Let's talk in detail. Sometimes what happens, like postal expenses, if it's 200 rupees and it rose to 400, these are incidental expenses. They happen once in a blue moon. So if the basic production cost is not increasing, if these incidental costs are increasing once in a blue moon, you need not to worry. So you need to worry only when production cost increase, because production cost is corollary to the actual cost of the product. If production cost is not increasing, then you need not to worry, management need not to worry. But if these incidental expenses are increasing once in a blue moon, you need to ignore them. Similarly, the second one is there is limit of tolerance for everyone, that is called zone of tolerance. Similarly, if production cost is increasing or decreasing by 5%, decreasing it would be better for you, but if it's increasing by 5%, for example, it was 60 rupees, it rose by 5%, that is 3 rupees more, it went to 63. The company, the employers will ignore that, but if it rises after 5%, these figures are just an example. It can be 1%, 2%. If it rises by 5%, after that it goes beyond that, then this thing is to be brought into notice of top level management so that they take corrective measures to reduce cost, and as a result they become cost effective. So first was ignoring incidental cost which happens once in a blue moon, and second was if they are increasing up to a certain limit, ignore them. But if they are increasing after that, beyond that, then you need to bring into notice of top level management so that they take out corrective measures to reduce cost and become cost effective. So I conclude this video by two terms. 1000 production achieved 800. What is this? Negative deviation. If I was given a target of 1000, I would have achieved 1100. That is what? Positive deviation. For example, my mother said, "Beta 75% learn," and I got 90. So this is what? Positive deviation. She promised 90, I got 75. What is that? Negative deviation. If you go beyond the target, that is positive. If you are not going with the target, it's negative. So these were two chapters which were correlated, that is planning and controlling. So my videos will be like based on a pair, that is 2 each, and the 2 videos which I will be framing differently would be marketing management. It's a big chapter. And second would be financial market, that is SEBI, stock market, which everybody is interested to invest after 12th even and becoming a stock expert so that they rise. And it would be covering a topic of SEBI, who is a body which protects the interest of investors so that they're not cheated. So this is all about planning and controlling. Please do watch the video carefully and press the like button and do subscribe the channel if you like the video. And I want comments from you so that I know the areas where I can improve and I can help you to score well in your board exams. So waiting for you for the next video. God bless you. Thank you.